Hello and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that has engaged the Borg. The wedding is in June. We are registered at... what's it? Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Star Trek Ascendancy Borg Assimilation from Gale Force Nine.
Full speed ahead, Mr. Sulu. My crazy concubine awaits. Mr. Spock, don't interfere. You are my science engineer. At Warp 9, it's girls a buzz. Oh, oh, oh. This goes far more deep than lust. Because my name is Captain Kirk. President Tiberius Kirk. My 5-year mission is to find, my crazy concubine. Those Klingons better step aside.
Star Trek Ascendancy, Borg Assimilation from Gale Force 9 is a new way to play your game of Star Trek Ascendancy. Now, the game is still a competitive game, but it adds kind of this cooperative element as all players are trying to battle the Borg, which is controlled by the game. Now, there are a couple of ways to play this game. There's the Delta Quadratic way to play it, which essentially starts the transport hub on the board, and the Borg are going to kind of begin the game moving around, and they'll be there right from the beginning, which can be a little bit more difficult. They still got to find you, but you've all got your home bases, and you got to get your empire set up and running. But then also you can play it by just through your cards, through the exploration cards, finding Borg cubes that then will, of course, attack you, and you've got to try to stop them. Now, the Borg receive a random turn order card every round, so you never know exactly when they're going to come up until that's drawn. But once they are activated, they do a few things. Now, they have a build phase and then a command phase, just like everyone else, but of course the game controls these actions. Now, each Borg build phase, they will build a spire first, and then they will build one Borg node. Once all three of the Borg nodes are full, you will then place a Borg cube on top of the spire. This is how Borg cubes get built. Now, during the command phase, the Borg cube will attack any player's ships in the same vicinity as it. If once that's done, or if there are no other ships, you'll draw a command card. And this command card will usually be a movement card. It will tell you how far and in what direction to move your Borg cube. If it ends up in a system without any ships around it, it will begin the process of assimilating the ship, assimilating the world, rather. It will attempt to attack it and hopefully replace it with one of its own spires. Now, the Borg have kind of an unusual combat system. They actually have 9 die. And the Borg always allow the enemy to attack first because, of course, they are trying to analyze their attack and look for weaknesses. So you can always hit at the Borg ship first. Well, you go ahead and you can fire at the Borg, and for every hit you get, you actually place a Borg die on their player board, their Borg cube board, which indicates a hit. They cannot roll that die. Then they are going to go ahead and roll die and attempt to destroy you in the process. Now, each round of combat, the Borg are going to modulate their shields, and they're going to gain a +1 defense for their shields. Now, whenever a player destroys a Borg cube or takes over a Borg world, they actually gain a Borg tech card. Now, some of these are one-time advantages, some of them are ongoing persistent advantages, but you get stronger when you destroy Borg technology. Now, if the Borg are ever successful in completely assimilating a player, if they've taken over all of his worlds, the player who has been assimilated then essentially becomes the Borg, and they play the Borg. If more than one player does that, then they kind of collectively play the Borg. So once you've been turned, you then become the enemy. Now, there is a ton more going on here. There's a lot of more little rules that I'm not discussing, but just bear in mind those are the basic facts and basic ways that you play this game with the Borg expansion. Now, I got to tell you, the Borg were always everybody's favorite villain on the show. They were my favorite villain. The first time in Q Who they appeared, I was frightened. And then Best of Both Worlds was such a fantastic episode. Really, really liked the Borg in the series. This Borg expansion in the game has some fun stuff. So the Borg, they keep coming at you. They're pretty scary. I was able to actually build up a Borg fleet at one point, and I was able to kind of hold them off, so that was kind of nice. But they are kind of a scary threat. Now, there's some issues here. When you play with it, just kind of exploring and finding the Borg, if you mix the Borg cards in with all the other exploration cards, it may be a while before you find them. I mean, theoretically, it could not be till late in the game when you find them. So just bear that in mind as well. And then when you play with the other way, the Borg can find you quicker, and then before you're really ready, and that can be really tough too. So it's a little wonky on both ends there. some of the rules are not as clear as I wanted them to be. Now, Star Trek Ascendancy, as much as I love it, there are some wonky rules here or there. It seems like there's always little exceptions or little things pop up that maybe are not really well covered in the rules, so you're kind of always on Board Game Geek. With this Borg Assimilation expansion, I was checking out the threads on Board Game Geek a lot. Because there was just a lot of little things popping up that I just didn't get or didn't understand the timing of precisely. So there's a lot of stuff like that that's I didn't like as well as I thought I would. Some of the Borg combat stuff is kind of fun. The Borg tech cards are kind of fun and interesting. But on the whole, the expansion just felt a little wonky to me. It felt like the either it wasn't play tested enough or just some of the rules weren't effectively communicated in the rule book. And I don't think it was as fun as I was expecting it to be. I expected this just to be a lot more scary and a lot more... I expected the board to be more of a dynamic threat than they were during the game. I enjoyed it. I'm sure I'll play with it with a Borg again, but I don't know that I'm always going to play with a Borg. I think the Borg are kind of a special occasion thing that I might try out here and there. But I think when I play this game with people, and particularly when I'm playing this game with new players, I'm not going to play with the Borg expansion. I'm going to play with just the regular players. So I liked a lot of aspects of this expansion, but I'm not in love with it. So the recommendation for Star Trek Ascendancy Borg Assimilation expansion is try it before you buy it. I think if you're a completist and you like the game, you've got had a lot of fun playing the game, you might want to add this one in here just for some occasional sugar and spice. But if you're still kind of new to the game, you don't play that often, I don't know that you need it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer. And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, do you know what the Borg were when their ship was blown up in Sector 001? Hoisted by their own Picard.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
What target am I going to be looking at?
The closest one right now is
Requesting we lower.
U7.
Oh no! We've got an intruder on board.
Hey! You will be assimilated.
Where is he?
You will become one with the Borg. You will become one with the Borg. You will become one with the Borg. Modulating shields. You will become one with the Borg.